Can you believe it's almost May? It doesn't seem that long ago since we were celebrating New Year. And now here we are in May. May is shaping up to be a very strange reading month. I've got a 19th century naturalist sailing around the world, a medieval Georgian epic, and also a teenage cassette tape confession. It's going to be a very chaotic, eclectic reading month. My name is Jim. This is my channel. Books, reading, and stuff. Let's start with a naturalist, Charles Darwin, The Voyage, the Beagle. I've been reading this for a while now. I'm slowly getting some wind in my sails and starting to read a bit more of it. It's very detailed about the flora, the fauna, the geology of South America. He's found a lot of dinosaur bones and also the bones of megafauna like Megatherium. He's trying to work out how they became extinct. He's also looking at the strange rhea, or these South American ostriches, and trying to explain the different shapes of beak in different parts of the region. And I think he's starting to formulate his ideas that will become eventually the origin of the species. I put up a poll on my channel for you to help me choose an addition to my TBR this month, and the winner currently is The Paying Guests by Sarah Waters with 43% of the votes. If the result holds, I'll be reading a historical thriller set in 1920s London. I don't know much about it, but I have read Sarah Waters before. Fingersmith, set in Victorian London, is one of my favourite books of all time, so I'm happy to be reading another Sarah Waters. May is the month Georgia celebrates its independence, and I like every May to be reading something Georgian because I live in Georgia. It's Georgia the country, not Georgia the state, not the peach state. And I have this, The Knight in the Panther Skin by Shota, Rustaveli. This for Georgians is like Hamlet for the English. This is their most famous work of Georgian literature. It's a 12th century epic poem. It's been translated by the American Lynn Coffin, and it has 1,656 verses. So I wonder how far I'll get with that. I would like to read it. I would like to understand the country I'm living in, the culture of the country I'm living in. I heard Stalin had learnt all this by heart. Stalin famously went to the seminary in Tbilisi for his education before he became what he became. Then I have this, The Nightingale by Kristin. This is a book crossing book, so I should record where I read it and where I leave it. I don't know much about The Nightingale. This is World War II historical fiction set in France. I've heard a lot of good things about Kristin, but I've never read a book by her, so I'm looking forward to this one. Now this one's a controversial book, The 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher. It's controversial because it touches on the theme of suicide. And some people who've either read the book or seen the film have committed suicide. Whether a direct result of this or their own mental state, I don't know. I think for every victim, it's their own choice in the end, although there's some factors that can contribute to it. I have no intention of taking my own life after reading this, but I'm interested to see what it's about. It's about a teenage girl who kills herself, and she sent these cassette tapes to one of the boys about 13 reasons why she kills herself, about the people who influenced this decision and the incidents that influenced it. Have you read this? Let me know in the comments. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed them or if you didn't. Finally, May is Horror Mayhem, and this Horror Mayhem is going on a world tour looking at horror stories from around the world. This isn't exactly horror, it's horror adjacent. Franz Kafka, Metamorphosis. I've read this twice already. I'm happy to read it again. It's about Gregor Samsa, a travelling salesman who wakes up to find himself an insect, which would suggest horror or fantasy. But his main thought at first is, how am I going to get to work? Not that I've got this hard shell on my back and these 6 little legs, or that I can crawl up the wall onto the ceiling, but how am I going to get to work? And about how his family reacts to this. There's a lot of layers to Metamorphosis. There are also other Kafka stories I might have a look at, like The Hunger Artist, which is about a carnival artist who's in a cage and people come and watch him and he's starving himself. This was Kafka's last story and he wrote it while he himself was starving. He had tuberculosis, he was in Vienna and he was unable to swallow anything without a lot of pain, so he was literally starving himself as he wrote The Hunger Artist. There's also in the penal colony where the criminal is tattooed with their crime as before their execution, which is quite horrific. So there's a lot of horror adjacent stories in Kafka. I didn't mention it because I'm not sure if I'll actually be reading it. I do have also Cryptonomicon there, Neal Stephenson. It was on my TBR last month. It's been on several of my TBRs, but in the month of April I haven't read it, any more of it. I'm on about page 386 of 910. It's quite a mammoth. I've been choosing instead to read The Voyage, the Beagle. As I said, if you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments. If you're participating in Horror Mayhem, I'll put some details about that in the comments, in the show notes as well, and you can tell me what you plan to read for Horror Mayhem. And if you enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up, which will help with this YouTube algorithm, and I will see you on the next video. Goodbye.